just like the Wild, we're back in action with another Wild Wednesday, and your shot at tickets to Wild v. Lightning, March 3rd. Just use the iHeartRadio app to send us a talkback and tell us who lights the lamp for the Wild first when they take on Colorado tomorrow night. You can get all the details in full. KFAN.com, keyword contests. Excited to hear from former Vikings quarterback Jeff George just around the corner, but a short segment as I jump out to kick off the final hour in Indy with Pete Bursich. PA still efforting the track down of the former QB, is he not?
Yeah, they're meandering around. He's kind of, Jeff George is still kind of like the Pope around here. We are in Indianapolis, don't forget. And so, yeah, he looks good. I think they had to harangue him from next door. He was going to get up on a podium and do an interview or two, since it's kind of in vogue now to have old men come back and play quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Vikings are in a quarterback spot of their own. Maybe somebody has a little stop and chat with old. The arm's still got to be good, right? As good as it was 25 years ago, maybe by today's standards, he can still find one against the grain over the middle. Now, I do want to I want to go back to what you guys were talking about with Courtney last segment. As a Chicago native and as a Bears fan, think about growing up as a kid. How preposterous is it, or is it okay that the Bears could potentially play games in Indiana?
It's absurd. It's absurd, and I think it's absurd for the NFL as well, just because Chicago is the third largest television market in the league. You have New York, two teams in New York City or in Jersey, with Buffalo. You have two teams in California, in which LA is number 2. And then there's Chicago, and the fact that they might have to, move that whole thing to Indiana. It what we've been used to, right? The stadium being downtown, and I think it makes it a lot more difficult to get there. But that on the lakefront, the whole thing, that's just been part of the Bears for so long, right? And Soldier Field, and the highest attended football game in the United States was at Soldier Field. It was a Catholic High School League championship sometime, I believe, in the 30s, but there were 135,000 people there, right, just to go see a high school football game. So it's kind of the birthplace of the entire NFL, with the Racine Cardinals and the Decatur Staleys and the whole thing. It's all tied through that. So to lose that part of history, it's a shame, but things have changed, right? This is not what it used to be. It's politics, it's business, it's billions of dollars now. And that opens the door to a lot of politicians and a lot of people that maybe want things to move. So who knows, man? It would be a shame, but the Bears want to do what the Vikings did, and that's build a facility that you can use for all kinds of different things. And I think in this day and age, with the cost of what it takes to make a stadium like that, you almost have to have other ways of income and other uses of it. You can't just use the thing 10 times a year. And expect any type of return on investment from anything, either private or public.
Indeed, I'm totally with you there. It's just it sounds ridiculous to me that would happen. Now, over the last couple of days, as you were on the verge of completing your second show at the Combine. It's one thing actually through all the chats and interviews and segments you guys have done. The quarterback spot hasn't been a massive part of all those conversations. But whether it was Gessling earlier, kind of reading through the tea leaves of how Kevin O'Connell has kind of framed things up, you get the chance to chat with Rob and catch up with him, now acting general manager of the Vikings. Like, where is your head at in terms of this confusing quarterback conundrum with that wide spectrum of options that the team has moving forward?
The how big that spectrum is going to be is questionable. I think there's you walk around and you talk to folks and you can rule out the Kyler Murray bit. I don't think that's a situation that you want to even get into. But other names pop up, guys like Geno Smith and Carson Wentz coming back, Kirk Cousins. Those all make sense in the amount of the move that the Vikings make will let you know what they think of J.J. McCarthy. But the bottom line is this. We've had 35 games. He started 10, and he finished 9. So you can't, again, and this is where this urgency that Kevin O'Connell had talked about, that really you haven't heard that from him, but, kind of the win now. We got to get to this playoffs and win a game. They just let go of the general manager, so it's not like that's the timeline is long.
Yeah.
We got to win soon. So you have to expect to have the quarterback out for 4 or 5 games, and you can't make it a 1-4 stretch if you miss a guy like that. So whoever they bring in has to be ready to go. And I think, again, looking at Sam Howell and how that went last year, because they brought him in thinking he was going to be that. They let him go. They bring in Carson Wentz. Whoever this backup has to be, he needs to be there for the entire training camp. He needs to be more involved in the offense. And even if it's a veteran, if they can get a training camp under their belt, then they're more likely to be able to withstand a 5, 6, 7 game streak if that's the case. So either way, I think the news from last year is really what happened with Sam Howell and how did you make that move and then nothing coming of it, totally flipping and bringing someone off the street, not doing that this year. So whoever it is that they bring in and how far they have to move to get it done, it will be interesting to see. And I think that if the starting jobs across the NFL are taken, this would be a great place for a backup, obviously, with Sam Darnold. But still, even with the young J.J. McCarthy, you have an opportunity to probably play 5, 6 games. And if you can lead this team to victories during that span, you're more likely to get another shot somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on the urgency of the situation as you're feeling it right now.
I've only been waiting 31 seasons, so it's not like I've been waiting long for this.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Hey, I'm gonna hang up on you for a second. We're gonna come back, and it sounds like it's gonna be you, PA, and Jeff George. Sound good?
Yeah, this is gonna be great.
All right, sweet. That's Pete Bursich. He's live in Indy, and PA has tracked down the former Vikings gunslinger. Jeff George is going to join PA and Pete live from Indy next. It's the Combine. KFAN Combine shows right here 9 to noon.
Ladies and gentlemen, day 2 from the National Football League Scouting Combine is about to come to a conclusion for 9 to noon on FM 100.3 KFAN. Those of you listening on the radio or watching at Vikings.com, this is former Vikings quarterback Jeff George, who was the first overall pick in the 1990 draft by the Indianapolis Colts, and he's from Indiana. Spent 12 years in the National Football League and was a teammate with Pete Bursich in 1999 with the Vikings. Jumped in, saved the season, and made 10 starts, went 8-2, got to the divisional round with 23 touchdowns. In the playoffs, he threw 7 touchdowns and a pick, and it all ended for him in Minnesota at St. Louis. And the Slappy has joined us now. What's going on, man?
What's happening?
Good to see you.
You too.
The term Slappy, you said it on my radio show 20 some odd years ago, when I asked you a question, you're like, life's full of slappies. And that was the origin of and believe me, life is full of slappies. But that was the origin of me learning that, like the term slappy. What does it mean? How'd you come up with it?
You know what? Somebody asked me a question about backup quarterbacks, and I said, you know what? There's so many backup quarterbacks that are slappies in the league that really don't belong in the league, but.
Yeah.
And it just kind of stuck. So everywhere I've been, it was like, well, what's the word slappy mean? So,
yeah.
But I was a slappy. When I came to Minnesota, I was like talking about myself as well. So
right.
It wasn't like I was singling anybody out, but the world's full of slappies.
Well, Pete and I brought this up a little earlier. When you made your not Vikings debut, you played maybe against Tampa or something briefly, but I'll never forget the game in 1999. Vikings are at the Silverdome. Things are going tough. Randall Cunningham was the MVP the previous year, and he's having a rough time of it. Slappy, Jeff George is behind him. Denny Green makes the decision at halftime at Silverdome. They're getting killed. They eventually lose by 2 to go with Jeff George. And Jeff comes into the game, and here's Chris Carter, and he's just slinging the ball around, and they get right back. All of a sudden, Mo Williams is blocking punts. It just picked the whole thing up, and that was the origin of Jeff starting with Minnesota. What do you remember about that day? Is it a day you'll never forget? And that 99 season with the Purple?
Well, it was a day that I won't forget, because that was the beginning and probably the best year of my career, the most fun I've ever had in my career. But yeah, at halftime, I remember Denny coming up to me and said, "Hey, it's your team. Go and have some fun." And it was just a good fit. Randall's a great friend of mine, and he had a great year the year before, and probably should have won it all that year.
Yeah.
But timing's everything, and I just had to be at the right place at the right time. Denny was a player's coach, and Ray Sherman at the time was a friend of mine, was offensive coordinator, so I knew him real well. And it was just a good fit. So not just I was just kind of a piece of the puzzle there, and we just kind of got on a roll.
Holy cow!
Yeah, well, you won't. I don't think you're going to remember the first time we met, but it was in Champaign, 1990. I was on a recruiting trip. And out at a bar at the time, and up pulls an orange Corvette. Do you remember that car that you had?
I had that.
And the passenger door opens, Paul, and a woman, a female, walks out. Looks like she just got out of a Motley Crue video.
Hey.
And then out of the driver's side comes my guy.
That's my man.
It was one of the greatest bar entrances I had ever seen in my entire life. And as a recruit, I was like, well, too bad he's leaving. Because you still wearing the Illinois hat now, turning things around, even down there. So I'll never forget that. Just letting you know that.
Well, it must not have had an impact on you. You didn't come.
You went to Notre Dame.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're leaving. If you were going to be if you were a senior that year, maybe stick around. Get one good year in. Your time with the Vikings, quarterbacking. You have Chris Carter. You have Randy Moss. That offense, Randall McDaniel. You've got Robert Smith behind you. You had the running back situation. I mean, what was that like to be able to step in with that infrastructure in place? Because you had to have stepped and stood behind some offenses that weren't as ready to go as that one.
Yeah, you mentioned 1990 coming here with the Colts, and we were struggling. Colts weren't very good, and they traded everybody away, and they never really, got a supporting cast, but coming to Minnesota, it was just, like I said, it was just a great fit. When you have a pro-style quarterback like myself, and you have guys like Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Robert Smith behind you, the offensive line was great, led by Jeff Christie, the center, and I mean, it was just fun. The huddle was fun. It wasn't like, the play would come calling
Monday
in.
nights at Joe Sensor's fun.
Yeah, Joe Sensor's, that's right.
That's where we met.
I was trying to think of that earlier.
Oh, I got a story for it in a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, but, the huddle was fun. You had, guys just chirping the whole huddle, and sometimes you had to tell them to shut up, but, they loved that. They loved it. And I was chirping, and Robert's chirping, give him the ball. Leroy Horde at the time was a stud. And
he talked a little bit, huh?
Yeah, he didn't shut up either. No. So, but it was fun, and that's why we were successful. So, if there's one regret, I didn't have a choice though, but I wish I would have retired in Minnesota. I wish I'd have, I thought after that year I was going to be there for the next 4 or 5 years, and but they drafted Dante, and who's ended up being a great quarterback as well. But it was just a fit, the type of style, the personnel, the offense. You knew at any given time. I mean, Denny would call the play, and Ray would say, "Hey, Jeff, just count guys in the box. If there's 5 guys in the box, just sling it. If there's more than 5 guys, if there's 6 guys in the box, hand it off."
That happens a lot now.
Well, I'm just saying it doesn't have to be complicated. Right? It doesn't have to.
Well,
be.
Yeah. So
I had
science. Robert. Yeah. So 5 guys in the box. I'm handing to Robert. But I told him. They said, "Jeff, there's 5 guys in the box." I go, "Well, I counted 7, so I had to throw." But those guys just made it easy, and you, Pete, you made it easy, man. All the friends and the camaraderie we had, I remember going out on Thursday nights and hanging out with Walsh and Mitch Berger and
Eddie McDaniel.
Johnny Randall's a great friend, and but we were just all close, and we kind of got hot, and I thought that that was going to be the year for us, and it just didn't happen.
So Mondays back in the day, okay, so you play Sunday. Jeff was winning 8 of the 10 games, and we had a show. And I'm not calling Vikings games at that time. I didn't start as play-by-play guy for the Vikings for 3 years later till 2002. So it's 99, my second year at KFAN. And I'm doing a Monday night show with Irv Cross. Remember Irv Cross, NFL Today? And so we're doing a Monday night show called Vikings Uncensored. It was pulling teeth weekly trying to find guests. Well, Jeff George was a guest one week, and he came in, stole the show as this vivacious personalities want to do. And then after the show, I thanked him and said, hey, think we can do this again? Okay, well, Monday nights, he and friends and wives, girlfriends, or whatever, they were going to a place off Washington in Minneapolis called Bunkers to watch a band called Dr. Mambo's Combo,
That's right.
which was an old school R&B band, and I used to go to Bunkers a lot. So therefore, I was quite familiar with it. And I said, all right, well, man, we'd love to have you on the show again. Like, what would it take? And he said, well, here's the deal. If you guys can arrange for a limousine and a case of beer every Monday, I'll come every Monday. We did 6 consecutive shows with him. We had that limo and that case of beer every single week. Remember that?
I do. And that idea came from guys like Walsh and Mitch Bergen, because they are all with me, and I always had about 4 or 5 guys with me, and they talked me into that. So yeah, I appreciate it. I never said thank you for that. So thank you.
Come on, man.
No, those are great memories.
Yeah.
I love memories like that, and that's what creates successful teams and
good relationships.
You know what
forever.
I think about you? You could have called me anytime. I'm here, so I'm behind you.
Well, see that. I mean, let's just put it this way. A month ago, there were some darker times taking place. I'm in New Orleans, and I'm getting my phone. I go to New Orleans by myself, just to lament, walk around, eat shrimp and grits, and just do my thing for a couple of days and get away from Minnesota and walk around in anonymity. So I'm sitting somewhere, and I'm looking at my phone, and it keeps saying no caller ID. No caller ID, and I'm like, I just spent a Saturday dealing with burner phones where I had to get a chief of police friend of mine involved here to stop this, and I'm not taking a no caller ID phone call. But then 2 of them left a message, Slappy, where are you? So that I couldn't call him back because I didn't have his number. It kept saying no caller ID. So then he calls me from his number. We talked about 20 minutes, multiple times. I want to publicly and personally thank you for that. Jumping up out of nowhere in 15, 16 years, we hadn't talked, man, and that really helped me through some difficult times. And it was great to reconvene with you. So then, of course, the opportunist in me was like, well, Feb 23, 4, and 5, I'm going to be in Indianapolis, Slappy. And he said, you tell me what time and where, and I'll be there. And here we are. So that's the kind of heart this man has.
No, absolutely. Kevin O'Connell, I don't know how much you know about him. We like to think of him as a quarterback guru. What are your thoughts on him?
Great young mind. He and Shanahan and San Fran, all those guys are in the same category as being the offensive gurus, but I follow them at the Vikings, and I watch them every Sunday, and personally I like to see the ball in the air a lot more,
of course,
but I know the game's kind of evolving to the athletic quarterback, but
McCarthy's looking at 2 in the box, and Jeff wants him to throw 10 times in a row.
But I know they came out and had success. The young quarterback, unfortunately has been hurt quite a bit. Had a great success in college, but a lot of times that the NFL is a different game, and but I'm optimistic. When you have a guy like Justin Jefferson and
Addison,
and Addison, and the defense was playing okay and playing great at some times, and struggling at times as well. But it all depends with the quarterback. Everybody, you thrive off what the quarterback does. The success is all about him. So, the coach is a great one. I think he'll get it right. I think just got to hang in there a little bit longer for McCarthy. But again, I'm more of a thrower, so I'd like to see get somebody in there and sling it.
I have to be honest. Okay, the kindness and you and I reconvening, and here we are. That's awesome. Love you for it. The real reason I asked you to come is because Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, has said, there could be a veteran quarterback to come into Minnesota to compete with McCarthy and work with him. And it's like Kirk Cousins this, Derek Carr that. I'm like, what about Jeff George? Let's get him to Indianapolis. Jeff George with that big arm and that savoir faire and the gunslinger mentality. Let's go, man. You can still throw it.
Hey, you don't have to ask me twice. I'm ready. My youngest son's 25, and hey, maybe that's a look. Maybe get my youngest son in there to carry on the tradition. He plays.
Where?
He was at Alabama for 2 years, got a national championship, then transferred to the University of Miami.
What's his name?
Jaden.
Got it.
Jaden George. So,
is he still there?
he has a year left of eligibility, but yet he'll graduate in this summer. So you know how it is. It's just you need an opportunity and timing and a little luck on your side, and who knows what can happen. But I know he's my son. I'm not one of those dads that says, "Hey,
you're not Mr. Marinovich."
Yeah, exactly. That's right. We've had some Big Macs, so that
you got to Google that one, new schoolers.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Kevin O'Connell has said is that franchises fail young quarterbacks before the opposite happens. Do you agree with that? Are these guys getting enough time to develop in the NFL?
I do agree with that. And I was just talking to do you remember his name? I can't think of his name. I was just talking to a friend of mine, Bill Musgrave, who was at Minnesota.
Bill's the best.
Yeah, Bill's great.
One of the quirkiest human beings you'll ever meet.
He's awesome, and we were teammates when I was with the Raiders, and got to know him really well. Came out in the same year, and then I came up in Minnesota to work a mini camp.
I got to send him a picture
when Bill was here, and but we were just talking about this, and with young quarterbacks, and I firmly believe this because of my experience, and when I came into the league. It's hard to ask a young quarterback to be the leader of guys that are, in their late 30s. If I have a young quarterback, I'm going to build. You keep your studs that are, all pros, but when you surround them around, 34, 35, 36-year-old veterans who are just kind of there to, do they want to win? Yeah, they want to win, but they're married and have kids and want to get that paycheck. So. As a young quarterback, I think you need to surround him around guys that are more his age. You can grow together. When you're in the huddle and you're looking at he's 22 and you're looking at a guy that's 24, 25 years old, you can get in their face and say, hey, this is what I need from you. But it's hard to get in a guy's face when your center's like 36, 37 years old. Yeah. How are you going to lead that guy? So I don't know. We were talking about Fernando Mendoza and, what I thought what the Raiders should do. And they just need to surround him with guys that are his age.
Yeah.
Grow together, develop together, and then, 3-4 years you're going to be great. Like Dallas did with Aikman, Irvin, and Emmitt Smith.
Yep.
They had a nucleus of guys that were the same age, and they grew together, and you can become a great leader that you have to be in the NFL. So I'm not really sure what the roster looks like in Minnesota and whether they're older or younger, but I know you got guys like Justin Jefferson and, fairly young and, many years ahead of him. And
an offensive-minded play-calling head coach who won Coach of the Year.
Who's young as well. So just build around your quarterback and bring in young guys that are hungry, that want to work hard in the offseason, and you stay together, you go out together, eat dinner together, and it's easy to be a leader as a young quarterback when you're leading younger guys your age.
Can you imagine what life would have been like for you in Champaign if they had NIL?
Yeah, I know. They couldn't afford me that. I'd have been calling Pete in Notre Dame, hey, what do you got in South Bend?
I mean, the comps you get at the Cracker Barrel, and Kentucky Fried Chicken, and places like that.
That's why I wear this hat. They give me a little bit, so I got to be seen with my Illinois hat. So.
This is former Vikings quarterback Jeff George from the Indianapolis Scouting Combine. What a wonderful, wonderful man. Great stories. Bill Musgrave. So if I say one of the most loving, quirky people you'll ever meet, would that be accurate?
Bill's great.
Like quirky.
He's like a brother to me.
Okay.
We're brothers.
And you can share that I shared this story with you when he was offensive coordinator here. Can't remember the situation, but like his play call card was like that big.
Yeah.
It was just tiny little index card, and he had the whole thing on him. So I asked him something about it, and it was before a practice. And here's how quirky Bill Musgrave is. He looks at me, and he's not showing me the play call side of it, but he goes, okay, let me tell you, Paul. This play puts the lotion in the basket. This play puts the lotion on the skin. And this play, when we want to strike down the field, put the lotion in the basket.
Yeah.
And walked out to the practice field. I'm like, what just happened? That's Bill. He's crazy
Bill's
like that.
Great. He's got a great offensive mind, and you're saying that little card. So when I was with him in Oakland, he was the guy that I'd come to on the sidelines and ask him, "What would you see? What would you have done? Did I make the right read?" And he would always have an answer as a young guy, and you knew he was going to be a great coach. But he does. It's all up. He has it all in his mind. He knows what he wants to call. He doesn't need the card, the big play sheet that has over 100 plays on there, and 3rd and 1 to 3. There's 20 plays. Third and long. he has it in his mind. He knows what he wants to do, and I'm happy he got
with the
an
Jets.
opportunity with the Jets, and he'll do great.
And he wasn't the guy that would like cover his mouth when he was doing the plays. He was. I don't care if they see what I'm saying. They have no idea what's happening here, or what the keys are and stuff. So like Bill's just he's one of a kind.
Yeah. What bugs you the most when you watch football now? I mean, is it the replays? Is it like Paul was saying, with the covering of the faces? I mean, what?
Honestly, what bugs me the most, and it's coming from a quarterback, how they protect the quarterback. It's not fun. You get back in the day, 90. I remember, releasing the ball. Some of the worst hits I ever took was after I throw the ball, and then they take 2 steps and hit me in the chin or hit me in the chest. And nowadays, you barely hit them or tap the head, and there's flags and. Just play. Play football. That's part of it. You're going to get hit.
Yeah.
I understand. You have to protect the knees and all that, but all these late hits that penalties that drives me crazy. So
sounds like I'm talking to you in a pregame show.
Well, the same with the defense. All the holding calls. You can't touch a receiver. I mean, just play. If you're good enough, you're going to make plays. Just play. Let's play football.
The best.
So that wears me out.
Yeah, the physicality has been limited, and it's just interesting to hear. A quarterback, the guy that position that's probably benefited the most from the rule changes, to say that you miss it. It's just, I guess, for me, it's just the consistency and the technology that's in now, and like, what is a catch, right?
Yeah.
You know what the rule book says, but then when you watch it live, you're like, I don't even know what I'm seeing here. You can't make a guess, because who knows what they're going to come out with.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I remember all the hits that I took. I remember one hit in particular, Bruce Smith, when I was here with the Colts. I mean, honestly, this sounds sad, but I loved getting hit.
What?
You get hit in a game, you get hard. There's just something about getting up, seeing Bruce Smith say, "Hey, man, that's a great hit. Good job, man. Great hit." You're sitting there hurting, you can't breathe. Ribs are broke, but great hit. It just pumps you up, gets you fired up. And
then he's like, huh?
I just kind of made it. I think any football player can relate to that. I think you can understand a great hit on defense. I mean, there's just something about a seat, and you're going, oh, man, well, look, did you see that? That's a highlight.
Yeah.
There's just something about it on both sides of the ball that I think it's just part of the game, and I hate to see that, all the flags are being thrown.
I think it's great that you and John Randall are still quite close. I mean, you played together here. You rattled off a bunch of names, but in this day and age, or really within the last 10, 12 years or whatever, not just football, but maybe the world, like when people relocate, well, that's it, and I'm guilty of it too, where keeping those relationships we're 20 some odd years removed from it now, 30, coming up on 30 years. That's important, and that's important to you, isn't it?
No, it is. Guys like Johnny Randall don't come around very often, and not aside from his football talents, Hall of Fame football career, all that, but the person that he is, you can call him, you can just say whatever, and he'll return your call. And I've stayed close with him over the years, and I consider him a great friend. Some people just you don't need to talk to every day, even every year you don't need to talk to, but when you do talk to him, you just pick up right where you left off. And I feel that with you,
or every 17 years, you and I.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's go to Joe Sensor's.
Is that still open? No, let's go to New Orleans. I want to go to New Orleans with you. Where when you called me with this no caller ID stuff, what's with this no caller ID thing 3 times?
That's funny. So I was going to get. I don't know how to. I'm illiterate on a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
And I had this phone back in '95, and they somehow it came up no caller ID. Sometimes
they called me from a burner.
So now I use it to my advantage. So my son was at Alabama for a couple of years, and I would call I'd get calls, and I'd call for tickets. Hey, can I get? But they would never answer my call if it didn't come from no caller ID. They're why we know he wants something.
Yeah.
So I'd do no caller ID. They'd sit there and they go, hey coach. And they thought I was Coach Saban.
Did you play the bit?
So I did. I went all year. So one time a guy said, I said, man, hey, you made the wrong call on that. Get your butt going. And they go, all right, coach. And I played along with it for a while, and they thought I was Nick Saban. So I used it to my advantage.
Yeah, Nick Saban without the Nick Saban pay.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Jeff George, 9 to noon, former Vikings quarterback. You have a fan who's at the Combine, and he's a 2-time NFL Coach of the Year. He's one of my very best friends of all my years in football. And so I met up with him yesterday, and I told him I'm super excited that Jeff George is coming on the radio show tomorrow. Kevin Stefanski. He's now with the Falcons. And it's like when Jeff is not trying to convince me the Falcons are his favorite team or your favorite team, something like that. He told me a story. First, Stefanski wanted me to tell you hello from him. He claims he met you at a passing camp in Indianapolis back in the day. What's that all about?
No, he did, and Kevin's great. I remember giving him a call when he was going through all that stuff in Cleveland, and in my opinion, former player, I would love to play for Kevin Stefanski. Yes. Great offensive mind, great guy, loyal guy. You can trust him. If he tells you something, it's right.
Amen.
And he just means the world to me. So when he was going through all that stuff, I just kind of called him and said, "Hey, Kevin, you're doing a great job. All of us former players understand what you're doing and what you're about." And
he just texted Falcons finest. I mean, you guys in this Atlanta. He's the new coach of the Falcons. You were former Falcon. Yeah. You guys in this Falcons thing. Holy cow!
He's going to do great. They got in my opinion, the best coach in the league. So I wish him. I'm a huge Falcon fan. So.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine?
He might be on a plane to Atlanta for a workout.
Can you? No. Let's. Egan, veteran backup quarterback.
Can a 58-year-old still? You think a 58-year-old can still play?
I'm looking way over 53.
Doesn't matter. I'd pay money to watch it though.
Yeah, so would I. So stand. As long
as I wouldn't get hit, I'd be smart. I'd dump it off. I'd get rid of it. But
well, that's not Jeff George.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
You would never play like that. Come on. I mean, it's not like, with all due respect, and we can say this because we love Brad Johnson and he loves us, but you ain't Brad Johnson. I mean, Brad dumped and shallow crossed his way to a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
which is great.
You could do the Aaron Rodgers bit.
I could do that.
Dump it off and then throw 3-step fade every now and again.
Right. That's all he did last year.
Yeah, that's all he does.
So if you're just like standing there on the goal line, all right, and you're able to take a couple of steps and heave it right now, how far would it go?
I mean, I've done this because my kids are, so I'm out working out with them all the time. So probably about a little over 70. Yeah.
Not a little over 50. Yeah. A little over 70. Are you kidding me?
This isn't
a spiral.
You have to.
Uncle Rico.
Uncle Rico.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Not Uncle Rico. But you have to every once in a while show your kids and their friends that I did play one time, and I was kind of I could throw it pretty good. So I'm hurting at night, but during that moment, probably about so.
All right, we got a couple of minutes. Why did you ever consider getting into broadcasting, radio or TV? Because, I mean, bro, you'd be unbelievable.
No, I did. But, when you have kids and when you play for so long, you kind of lose some moments that you wish you were there for some games. So that was important to me to make sure that I was there for my kids when they were, coming home from school, dropping them off, coaching Little League, coaching junior high, being a part of their lives. And that was important. So that's why I never got into TV and radio. I didn't want to take it away from being a dad. I'm a dad first, and that's
same with coaching.
Most important. Same with coaching, especially coaching. Coaching's
a lot of hours.
Oh man, you're never home. You don't have any family life, and family life's important to me. So that's why I never got into it.
Can you imagine a 1999 version of Jeff George with this O'Connell offense with Jefferson and the middle zone attacking and the play action off a good back to Jefferson? Oh, I mean, that's good enough to eat.
Well, I mean, I've said this all along that it would be easy to be a 6,000-yard passer in the league now, and especially if you have
6,000.
Yeah, I was going to say, think about what you just said. It's easy 6,000.
Yeah, right.
I really believe, because 4,000 back in my day was incredible.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're not getting touched. You're back there. You're being protected. You got Kevin, who's a great offensive-minded coach. You get, if you had Justin Jefferson, if you had Randy Moss, Chris Carter, all those guys, how could you not? So it would. I really think it'd be an easy to be a 6,000-yard passer.
When you watch it, do you see any quarterbacks who play like you now? Like who reminds you of you?
That's a good question.
Aaron Rodgers a little bit?
Probably.
I'm not saying you didn't move, but you weren't known.
Well, he doesn't move now. I wasn't him when he moved, but now his 42-year-old, how old he is, I guess that's me.
Right.
With he can't move. But, man, the game's so different now. You have to be able to run out of the pocket. And Josh Allen's incredible. Everybody, I don't want to jump on the bandwagon, but he's incredible what he does.
Yep.
He's the whole offense. Yeah, so
nobody plays like you.
But I'm not saying I'm John.
No,
not at all. But probably, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the league is Josh Allen.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, God bless you, man.
Paul, thank you. Anytime.
Love you very much. And
best of luck.
We're going to stay in touch forever now.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to meet you in New Orleans somewhere next couple of months.
Definitely.
All right.
Great to see you, Pete.
Yeah, good to see you too.
You're awesome.
Great teammate.
Yeah.
Great teammate.
Jeff George, former Minnesota Vikings quarterback, 12 years in the NFL.
Slappy cut us off.
Continue, please. I'll be late for this. What were you saying?
No, I'm kidding. I did. What a great teammate Pete was.
Okay. Thank you, Slappy.
Yep.
Jeff George, former Vikings quarterback. We put a close to the combine coverage after this.
I can't wait until tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't wait until tomorrow to be back to KFAN with my main man, mad producer. All of a sudden, an elite ice fishing, angling mind off the week he had at Lake of the Woods, or weekend he had at Lake of the Woods, and Ballard's Resort. And tomorrow, Minnesota Wild coach John Hines joins 9 to noon, about 10:05. It's a big one, a big part of the year for the Wild. They're at Colorado. And Coach Hines is off a gold medal winning assistant coaching performance where his PK went 18 for 18 with everything on the line. That's pretty cool. So Hines tomorrow. Nacho Lieber, some carryover interviews from the Combine, including Eden Prairie's Todd Downing, who is the wide receivers coach for the New England Patriots, plus much more. That's tomorrow 9 to noon. Nordo, Jeff George, what'd you think?
Unbelievable. I mean,
Doesn't he make you laugh?
He makes you laugh. He makes you go back in time. You and I have talked about it, where there is just, whether it's the marketing element, everything's about, as in some ways kind of a whitewashed image.
Yeah, hold on here real quick.
Yeah.
Greg Cosell, Jeff George, come say hi to him.
Oh, wow.
Go ahead.
A meeting of the minds. But Jeff is, certainly a throwback, right? And just his personality must have been. I mean, when you think about who's in a locker room, who's loud, who's quiet, and a guy that can get people going. I mean, Jeff George was unfreaking believable to listen to for the last 20 minutes. I loved it.
All right, so we leave the Combine with if it's a horse race. Yeah, we're thinking about the Vikings at 18, or with their picks that they have on Thursday and Friday. Thieneman, Dylan Thieneman. From Oregon, the safety. I'm on him. You on him?
I'm on him. I will tell you this, that I'm leaving. It still feels like a 3-horse race from a position standpoint. I'm still looking at secondary. I'm still looking at D tackle and those sorts of things, and corner potentially part of that conversation too. But I love the steam. And by the way, Mr. Thieneman, you found out about him while talking to some kicker on the plane on the way down.
It's perfect.
So you think about, can we get into Schefter's here? Can we have a sneaky chat with a general manager or team executive? No, actually, I was just, looking at that Oregon gear. That's pretty sweet. What are you headed to the Combine for? Oh, and you leave with some safety intel in the mix. So that was
and the
nice
guy's name's
flight.
not like Bill Smith. It's Atticus Sappington. Like it's like the coolest author, Tolstoy-like name. But it's a cool name and a cool person until he ends up with the Green Bay Packers or Chicago Bears.
And then we got to root against him.
And he's trying to walk off on us.
We don't like that.
Hey, man, great job the last 2 days. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, okay?
Likewise, man. Safe travels.
That's Nordo. Excellent work producing 9 to noon. For everybody at the Vikings Entertainment Network, thank you for the hospitality. For Pete Bursich, I'm Paul Allen, Nick Madden with our social team at KFAN. Thank you very much. And most importantly, thanks to all of you for listening to 9 to noon when you do. That's a wrap from 2 days of radio at the Indianapolis Scouting Combine, and I'm Paul Allen. God bless you and your families. Talk tomorrow. Bye.
9 to noon.
If it's good news or money, leave a message.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.